When I woke up this morning, I never dreamed I'd spend part of my day sitting under a dripping wet bridge in Panorama Park, leaning up against clamshells and some sort of seashell type things that are alive and very fragrant. I was gonna say smelly, but let's go with fragrant. But I think that's what happens when you're starting over in a new season of life, whether you're in your 50s like me or 60s or 70s. Starting over in a new season of life has to involve waking up and expecting to be in a different place. It's bound to happen. It's already happening. I want to give you a few ideas on how to start over. And all I can do is share how I'm starting over. Hopefully you'll find some encouragement and inspiration, maybe some ideas to start fresh in your own way and in your own time. The number one thing I've realized lately is that you can be good at something you had no idea that you would be good at. For instance, I didn't know that I'd like making YouTube videos. I'd been told a couple of times, you should try making YouTube videos. And it was my agent and my publisher for my book. They told me to, you should start a YouTube channel. And I don't want to make a YouTube channel to sell books and promote my books. So I didn't. And I also didn't think that I'd like being in front of the camera and talking to the phone. I totally shunned it. I did not want to do it. And then when I tried it, it's been about 3 years since they encouraged me to do it. 3 years later, I tried it and I love it. I don't know why, but I find it so interesting and so encouraging to be able to be personal with you, even though I know we're not sitting face to face, but it feels like we are. For some reason, I feel you. And I know that you feel me too. There's a connection here, even though we're not face to face in person. It's the weirdest thing, but somehow it works. So about starting over in a fresh season of life, it's really important and exciting to be open to the idea that you could be good at something that you have no idea that you're good at, or you could love doing something you right now are thinking, that's crazy. I'd never want to try that, or I'd never want to do that. But it could actually be something that is life-changing for you. And you don't have to be like the number one best person to do it at it. You don't have to be like the best cook or the best YouTuber or the best blogger or the best crochet person on your block. But if you enjoy doing it and you share it with one or two people, that's a beautiful way to start over. If you don't do it now, when? If not now, when? And that's why I bought a Pleasureway Tofino camper van. So you can see me, I feel like I'm lit when I talk about it and when I think about it. And it's the biggest, well, besides the house, but it's a huge purchase. And it's a risk. What if I don't like it? I've never actually had a camper van before. It's a dream I have to drive across Canada in my own camper van. And this just seemed to make sense, even though it's the craziest thing I've ever done. When you're starting over in a new season of life, be prepared to do things that make sense to you, even if they don't make sense to you, but it still somehow makes sense. Does that make sense? Another thing, give yourself permission not to have to explain yourself to people. That's something that I'm learning, that sometimes I don't have a reason for why I'm doing what I'm doing, or why I think what I think, or why I want to make this move right now. Here's an example. When I went away for a month for my 50th birthday, I really wanted to go for the month of January, even though my birthday isn't until March. But I just had this feeling I had to go in January. It made more sense to me. So I went to Nepal, and I wanted to go to India, but I couldn't. They wouldn't let me get on the flight to India when I was at the Kathmandu airport in Nepal. So I went to Dubai and Hong Kong instead. My husband said, why don't you wait until your birth month, until March, to go on your month-long vacation? And I just couldn't even really explain it. And I tried to give him rational reasons. And I actually had rational reasons for wanting to go in January. I had a couple of groups that were starting in about the third week of January. So if I went for the month of January, I'd only miss 1 or 2 weeks. Whereas if I went in March, I'd miss a bigger chunk of the group gathering time. I had rational reasons for wanting to go in January, and I tried to explain it, but I knew that those reasons weren't the actual reasons that I wanted to go in January. They made good sense, but that wasn't why, and I couldn't explain why. Then, while I was in Hong Kong in January, COVID news started coming through and people were wearing face masks and in fact lining up for hours in the morning to get face masks in Hong Kong. In the third and fourth week of January, things were starting to shut down. But things didn't start to shut down here in Vancouver, Canada until mid-March. So if I had waited until March, my birth month, I would never have been able to go. Now, how did I know? I had no idea. I had no idea that it would be impossible for me to go in March, but I knew that January was the month I had to go. I learned from that, and I'm really trying to practice not having to explain every decision I make or every thought or opinion I have. Sometimes you just know, you have this inner knowing that you should do this particular thing, or even say something, or go somewhere, or even make a right or left hand turn. You may never know why you chose to do that, but we have to learn how to trust ourselves that this is the right decision, it is the right time, and even if we can't defend or explain it, we're gonna go with it because it feels right. Tough stuff, scary, but we're 50. It's time for us to be able to learn how to trust ourselves. One last thing I want to encourage you to be aware of is how often I'm sitting right under a drip. Notice when you're sitting under drips and be smart enough to move. Actually, what I was really going to share was notice the thoughts that keep coming up in your mind. Thoughts that are going against reality, because those thoughts are the ones that are holding you back. For instance, so-and-so shouldn't have said that. So-and-so shouldn't have done that. I really wish that hadn't have happened. I really wish my cat hadn't have died. I wish that I hadn't have accidentally done this, said that, hurt my daughter. I wish I had done this. Every time you start thinking, I wish, or I should, or it shouldn't be that way, or why did he, or how could God let this happen? Those are hopeless thoughts because there are no answers to it and it's not reality. The shoulds, the I wishes, this why did it have to happen, why did that person have to do that? It's just setting yourself up for despair, hopelessness, and a downward spiral into the pit of despair. When you're a woman starting over in your 50s in a new season of life, we should avoid these pits of despair. Learn when it's time to get out from under the constant dripping that's coming from the bridge that's over you and walk into a sunny part of the beach. That's not how I intended to end this video, but I must bid you adieu because I am soaking wet. It's coming through my pants because I'm sitting on this beach. This is no place for a 50-year-old woman. I'm glad you're here. Take good care of yourself because you are worth taking good care of. I walked here in the rain and I just wanted to show you because the sun is coming out. That's the bridge I was sitting under while I was talking to you. And this is Deep Cove. I'll just do a quick slow little pan around because the sun is coming out and it's beautiful. Okay, go keep starting over.